So we're up here in Limestone, Maine. We were just driving around, my dad and my mom and I, and we decided to make a stop here at Loring Air Force Base, or what used to be Loring Air Force Base. This was a B-52 base under the Strategic Air Command back in the 1950s and 60s. I'm not sure exactly when it closed. Some of the buildings around here look like they were built in the 1970s, but this has been long since decommissioned as a base, and you can basically drive around all over the place. So we've actually already done that. Most of the footage I filmed already, but I thought I'd do a little intro here for you folks. And right here is a missile. Why don't we take a look at that? This is some manner of cruise missile. Maybe someone who's watching this can help me identify it. I'm not very familiar with cruise missiles, but it's definitely in the shape of a plane. It's got wings. So this is an item of curiosity. You can look around behind here. I'll take some more head-on footage. I apologize for the wind noise. The wind is picking up for the first time in several days. But we're in Limestone, Maine, and this used to be a B-52 base for the Strategic Air Command. You can see this massive gate behind us. And we came up this road, which is more or less completely dilapidated. Now, apparently there is still an airport here, but this part of the facility looks more or less abandoned. I just wanted to take some quick video footage of it, unless some DOD men in black come and try to arrest me. I thought I'd just get a little bit of video footage. It's kind of cool. Remnant of the Cold War. So there's double lines of fencing here. You can see over there's doors with passageways going underground, presumably to some sort of bunkers. And I'm assuming this would have been a security checkpoint. There's a man gate over there, and there's a sort of a sally port. You can see they've got one of those rotating one-way gates. I don't know if you'll actually be able to see that or not, but one of the gates is standing open. The outer one is closed, and of course somebody's ripped a hole here, but I am not on your life going to try to slide through there and get out onto the runway, but it's pretty neat. I don't know where this road goes. Usually when you see a big line of planted pine trees like that, that's to conceal stuff that was way back in there. Got triple rows of barbed wire on top of the inside fence. I don't know. I guess it's not all that super interesting, but it's kind of cool. There's something mildly interesting over there, but I don't think I'm going to walk beyond these Jersey barriers. That used to be something. You know, what the hell? What are they going to do? Arrest me? You can see the fencing. There's lots of modern-looking lights, and I imagine there's cameras there that are probably taking a look at me, but this was all blacktop here. Oh, that's like a bumper. Those look like pistons. That was some sort of a bumper to stop something. And you can see there's large buildings over there. That looks like a hangar off in the distance. That building, I don't know if you can get a sense of the scale from here, but it's huge. Yeah, I haven't seen any no trespassing signs. But I don't think I'm going to go walking out here, because that seems like it would be asking for trouble. But this is pretty cool. There's a guard tower over there, or an air traffic control tower of some sort. And this was a huge gate here, I guess, and very wide. So I guess presumably you could have gotten a B-52 through there. If I was more brave, I would maybe go for a little perambulation around, take a look at everything, but still, it's kind of cool. Now, there's some kind of building down here that has modern equipment, so I've probably drawn enough attention to myself for now. Just kind of interesting. This used to be a parking lot, I would guess, for employees. Now it's just used for doing burnouts. Spinning donuts. There's a nice set of concrete steps over there that led up to this gate. This must have been quite a facility back in the day. I guess maybe we'll drive around a little bit and see if there's anything else interesting looking. I don't know if this was super interesting, but I figured I'd document it while we were up here. Loring Air Force Base. There were a lot of people stationed here at pretty much the end of the world. This is about as north and east as you can go in the continental United States. So apparently I can't go any further than that, but you can see here some views of the runways through here. And again, I apologize for wind noise. I imagine it's kind of breezy here. That in there is that big building you could see in the distance when we were over at the other gate. Now there's a fence here with triple barbed wire on top, but from over on the other side, I could have walked right across that tarmac there. You can see an air traffic control tower way off in the distance. There is an active airport attached to this, which is presumably still using some of the runways, but apparently not over here. There are still military vehicles parked on the tarmac, and some of those are pretty ancient looking. I'll see if I can zoom in a little bit. There we go. Some of those are fairly old looking pieces of equipment. So that's a fairly large hangar building attached to that huge mysterious structure over there, which is popping up in all the videos. It kind of dominates the landscape here. I would say those hangar doors are wide enough to accommodate a B-52. That's got to be at least 100 feet across. It's pretty neat. Right, so we're up against another prohibited area. No unauthorized entry beyond this point. There's that giant building. I guess that must have been for aircraft maintenance. I mean, it's enormous. You could have fit several B-52s in there. And this is the side of that huge hangar building. Giant alarm bells up there. I would imagine that when those started going off, people would start scrambling. But these hangar doors have got to be at least 100 feet across. There's a separate door up at the top that would have slid open for the rudder, I guess, on the back of the B-52 would have gone through that separate door up there. Well, it's not separate, but a little bit taller. Very, very cool. So here's another personnel entrance at the end of the tarmac. You can see there's another one of these one-way turnstile type gates here. I imagine security personnel would have been stationed in this little shack. This is probably the best view that we can get of those old military vehicles that are out there. Pretty neat. So this was, you can really only make it out from the glue pattern, from the letters. This was the 42nd SPS, whatever the hell that was. It looks like a brick office building. There's windows across the front, but I'm not going to walk around there just to show you that. There's more hangar buildings up on the top of the hill over there. I don't think those are doors on this end. I think the doors must be on the other side facing the tarmac. There's some other more modern buildings like this red one here that look like they're still well maintained, and clearly somebody's mowing the grass at least occasionally, so it's not completely abandoned. It's just amazing that we're here on this Air Force base and nobody has come to say anything to us. I haven't been exactly secretive, and I'm walking around filming and nobody seems to have any problem with that. The civilian aircraft flying over, presumably out of the part of the base that's still an airport. You can see nobody's used this parking lot in quite some time. Could use to have a mower run over the asphalt. And that was the Combat Arms Training Building. So Smith & Wesson Model 59s and M16A1s, if I had to guess. Or maybe even some GAU 5s have been through those doors. That's pretty cool. It's just amazing to me that other than the yellow signs in certain areas, this place is pretty much open access. Pretty cool. Here is a hangar which is wide open with a giant American flag hanging on the wall inside. That American flag doesn't look super old. There's obviously some kind of activity, and there is a vehicle parked in. There's several vehicles parked in there.
The flag might be painted on the wall. I would drive up a little bit.
That's a prohibited area, but that's pretty cool. You can see the inside of the hangar. That's certainly big enough to accommodate B-52s. And look at the reinforced concrete arches. And it looks like a steel roof on that building. And there's an air traffic control tower over there. I imagine that looks like it might still be in use. There's no prohibited sign here, but I don't think we should drive up there. But maybe my dad's slowing down. Oh boy, here we go. It is history. The history of the Cold War. Look at this. There's two guys over there on a loader. They don't seem to give a crap that we're here. Sure. Yeah, they're using it as a parking garage. Well, that's pretty amazing. It looks like they're demolitioning stuff. There's another one of those cutouts for a B-52 rudder. Wow, look at the size of... Well, I guess this is as close as we can get to the air traffic control tower, but still pretty cool. That looks like the base of an old air traffic control tower. And more abandoned buildings. And another prohibited area sign down the road there a little bit, but it's amazing how much of this base is just open. And how many buildings there are here. This must have been really something. This is a fire department, if I had to guess. This looks like, yeah, this looks like a fire department. Very interesting. Very modern buildings back in the 60s. Look at the weird, not quite square windows and the rounded corners on the buildings. And the sort of curvy windows on the corners. Very progressive and very modern Air Force architecture. I'm sure this was meant to be very futuristic looking 50 years ago. And you can rent it out. It's available for immediate rent at Loring Air Force Base. Look at those funny windows. And that's very... So if anyone's interested in coming to Loring Air Force Base, they have a air museum here. 42nd Bomb Wing Command Section. And they're open for the summer. Saturday, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Sunday, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. And there's contact information if you want to make an appointment. So that's pretty cool. And this is a pretty neat little mural on the side of the Air Museum building. I imagine that's reflective of how remote this site was when it was still an active command for the Air Force. As is typically the case, we are really in the middle of nowhere. The military finds the most godforsaken pieces of real estate to purchase and set up their bases on. Of course, this one was strategically important because it was closer to Europe than anything else in the continental United States.